Pickle, let's go to the hotline. Let's bring in the Hall of Fame voice of the Texas Longhorns, of Texas high school football. As I mentioned, he called 17 of the 12 UIL Texas high school football state championship games this past week.
Math checks out.
We go live to our good friend, Craig Way. Craig, how are you, my friend?
It was my understanding there was to be no math on this. But I will tell you, I have to ask Pickle if Pickle, for you and Mallory and Amanda and Step and the entire rest of the crew, was it like a holiday when Tepper had no voice for a bit and now is the holiday rudely over? Is that the deal?
Boy, howdy, let me tell you, when he tweeted out about how happy Miss Jen was that he didn't have a voice, I was like, we were all singing hallelujah there.
Wondered about that, but I had his dulcet tones on my show this morning. Sounds like things are back to normal, Tap.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, they are, Craig. Thanks for bringing that up. It's Craig Way, our friend here on the show. Okay. I've had this question kicking around in my head all weekend, and I want to put it to you. For me, the way that I have Texas high school football shorthand in my head, and I think you do too, that when you say 2017 title games, I think, oh, that was the Highland Park Manville year. 2018 title games, I go, oh, it was North Shore Duncanville, and that was Longview Highland Park, or Longview and Beaumont Westbrook. There's shorthands for each year. Have you figured out quite yet what the shorthand title game is going to be for 2021? What is the game that when people say, hey, you remember back those title games in 2021, you're going to say, oh, that was the blank game. Have you quite figured out which one of those is going to stick in your brain the best?
Well, I would say this, Chap. There are two games that would come to my mind only because of the thought I had about each going into the game and the way they ultimately played out, and because they were two of the, as you called, 17 games that I was calling, whatever, were the Franklin Gutter game in 3AD2 and the Pato College Station 5AD1. Having said that, to the specifics of your question, the game that most of the free world that celebrates high school football as we know it in this state is going to remember, this is the year of South Oak Cliff. They're going to remember the dynamics and the dramatics of what happened, I think, with South Oak Cliff. And that doesn't even take into account what Todd Dodge has done to ride off in the sunset with three. It does take it all into account with the 3 consecutive state titles, and he calls it a career and all those things. But I think the historic impact of what Jason Todd did at SOC and his group, that I think is going to be what folks, there may be, some certainly in the Westlake community and others that remember that's when Todd Dodge finished his great run with 3 consecutive state titles to go with the 4 he won at Carroll, and Hall of Fame innovator and all of those things. And I'm going to ask him about all those stuff when he comes on my show one final time. But I think at large across the state, I think a lot of folks are going to think about South Oak Cliff breaking through to win the DISD's first UIL state championship since 1950 and their first state football title of any kind going back to the PVIL days in 1958.
You mentioned Westlake, and they were certainly pushed by Geyer in the first half, trailed for the first time all season, as a matter of fact, in this game, but came out and polished off what felt like a pretty tour de force performance from Westlake, capping off what was a pretty remarkable season, 16-0. The numbers, I tweeted them out, but the numbers are pretty staggering, that over the past 3 years, they are 45-1. They've outscored their opponents 2,400 to 392. A ridiculous run. You've seen a lot of really good teams down there at Westlake and at Lake Travis and in the Austin area. Just focusing in on the Austin area for a moment, does this 2021 Westlake team enter that pantheon of all-time great Austin area high school football teams?
They lead it.
Oh, wow.
It's the best Westlake team I've ever seen. It's the best 6A team I've ever seen down here. It's the best Greater Austin team. I've seen down here. The Lake Travis State champions, the drive for 5 was great, but that was at a smaller classification level. And in addition to that, the one they won in 16 was a really good team. There's no question about it. Lake Travis was outstanding. This Westlake team, I think, tops all of them in terms of the total dominance they had on both sides of the football. Going into that game, Tep, the one and only curiosity about Westlake was going to be what happened if somebody, had the wherewithal to get them in a firefight. If it happened, how would they respond? Because a lot of great teams have had, teams take them down into the mosh, and then they can't find their way out of it and struggle. I mean, we saw it happen with Mart. We've seen it happen with other teams in the past. How would they do? Well, we got the answer. They were in a fight. Rodney Webb did as good a job as any coach has done in preparing his team for Westlake. And we talked to him Saturday morning on a call before he said, I said, this has got to be like the easiest thing in the world in terms of playing the underdog role, right? He said, everybody outside's doing that. He goes, I'm being honest with you, Craig. We don't think that. We think we got a shot at these guys because we have a plan. And we saw the plan, and they stood toe-to-toe with them for better than 2 quarters and held a 21-20 lead. And then the plan after that went down the Mike Tyson route about everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the mouth, that kind of thing. And Westlake finally found a way to punch back. So the defense had been there all along. It was just like what Todd Dodge told Sarah Merrifield going into halftime. He said, our defense has played well enough to win this game. We just got to get our offense together. And they did, and Cade Klubnik had a little bit of a sluggish start, got it going, and Jaden Greathouse was spectacular and all that sort of stuff. All of that happened. But the defense set the tone. 9 sacks, and what they did, it's the totality of it, which is why I say Westlake, of all the greater Austin Central Texas area schools, stands at the top of that list. Now, anybody can make all kinds of arguments about other highest classification performances and how it might be the best of all time, where it ranks and all that, and all of those arguments are very valid and very fair. I just know Westlake's performance will put them into that conversation.
Talking with Craig Way, the Texas High School Football Hall of Famer here on Texas Football Today. You can all follow the conversation, hashtag TF Today. We saw a lot of incredible individual performances out there as well, Craig, both ones recognized by MVPs and not recognized by MVPs. Is there one particular individual performance, one particular name that springs to mind that you're going to be like, man, I remember that guy and what he did on that stage? Because there's your pick of the litter. I feel like you could probably pick out at least one in every game. There's only, I don't know if there's one there's a game that I can't pick out an individual. Was there one individual performance that you saw this weekend that you think you're going to take with you in your memory hole?
Well, 2 really come to mind, and you could even make a case certainly for Jaden Greathouse and 7 catches, 236 yards, the 3 over-the-top bombs. But the 2 that really stand out to me are going to be Malcolm Murphy from Franklin, 280 rushing yards, and then Major Bowden from China Spring. What he did, those 2 were kind of one-man wrecking crews, so to speak, for what they did. And you know how it works because you worked the 2AD1 telecast with me. The way the producers work is we have players that we highlight in the open, and then what we call forward impact players, which are like a second level guys to watch. Malcolm Murphy didn't make either tier on that. Wow. We were talking about the Washington brothers for Franklin, which made sense, and then in the linebacking core as well. So we weren't even talking about Malcolm Murphy, although he was a two-way player and he did stuff on both sides of the football, including interception. But he had the 280 rushing yards, and then most spectacular of all, Tep, the dance he had. After that, it was absolutely just remarkable. I was only disappointed that we couldn't get word to Sarah Merrifield in time to see if we could get Malcolm to do that dance when she did the interview with him, because it was fun to watch it. He had it down cold. So Malcolm Murphy would top the list for me. Major Bowden right up there with him. Jaden Greathouse did so. What Grayson Rigsby as a freshman, what he did to lead strong to that state championship in 6-man. All of those And the Brooks brothers are the Brooks brothers are the Brooks brothers. I mean, they were all as advertised like we thought they would be. So those were just some of the ones that came to mind.
Two more questions for the Hall of Famer Craig Way before we let him go enjoy his holiday. First and foremost, you on the 2A Division I state championship game, you had the great pleasure of working with one of the up-and-coming sideline reporters in this game. We all know Leslie McCaslin, how great she is, but on the other sideline, you had Ashley Pickle. I'm interested in your assessment of Ashley Pickle, sideline reporter for the 2A Division I state championship game.
Oh, goodness.
I'm lobbying Bally's to make her a permanent part of that
There
scene.
you go.
She's that good. She was spot on. And you know how some reporters are even better because they know the program as well as they know them, because we have some reporters that do a good job, but they might not necessarily know much about the team until they get on the conference call with the coaches. That's not the case with Pickle. She knew Shiner in and out. She'd been there. She'd been in Victoria for the big throwdown with Refugio. She's seen them all season long. All of that stuff emanates through. So that's why, Pickle was lights out. So she belongs.
I agree.
Well, thank you, Craig.
And finally, we for all the celebrations that have gone on recently, whether you're talking about Christmas on the horizon, whether you're talking about the parade going down in South Oak Cliff, there was, I understand, a big party down there Austin way. Let's pull up the thing. I understand there was a birthday party for Sophie, your pup. Tell us about this, what seemed like a real wild throwdown going on at the Way household.
Look at that
for
hat.
Sophie.
If you want a big party, invite a miniature schnauzer. And she was 9 yesterday. It's really interesting. She's very funny. She's very loyal and can be very affectionate. She can also be pretty guarded and territorial to others that come into the house, depending on her mood and things like that. But we got her 9 years ago, I will tell you this. We laugh and joke a lot. There was, on a slightly serious note, that dog, the companionship that dog had given me, helped me through some difficult times when I lost my wife, Laurie, in 2016, excuse me. And there were a couple of years where I'm going home to an empty house at night, and it's me and the dog, and we can hang out and have a nice walk, and she play ball in the backyard. She's been a great companion. And the party really wasn't my idea. It was more telling Linda and the kids, hey, why don't you come over for dinner tonight? Hey, it's Sophie's birthday. We can celebrate the birthday. Well, my second daughter, who has 2 schnauzers of her own, knew where to go to get the dog food cake. And it's or dog treat cake. It's not made out of dog food. It was a combination of dog-friendly, digestible ingredients, but it wasn't dog food. She brought her 2 schnauzers over. They cut up that little cake, and those 3 just scarfed it down. They wolfed it down, and so we had a great time. Yeah, Sophie turned 9 yesterday, and she's been a great companion. So yeah, it's like, okay, happy birthday to Soph. So yeah, it was party time last night.
Happy birthday, Sophie.
Happy
Way.
birthday, Sophie.
Absolutely. He's Craig Way. He's the Texas High School Football Hall of Famer. Hear him on the Horn in Austin every weekday. Although I think you're taking something. You're off like Thursday, Friday, right?
Yeah,
Good.
I got a basketball game tomorrow. I went out Sunday morning to Vegas after our state championship, called a couple of basketball games there, got home about 3 a.m. on Monday morning, and then that was yesterday, Monday. That's right. And then there's a basketball game tomorrow to do, and then I'll have a few days off. And Pickle, I think I'm headed to the bowl game for our alma mater. I think I'm gonna go to that Frisco Football Classic and see the Mean Green in action on Thursday afternoon, because the weather's supposed to be nice.
Please cheer on the Mean Green for me.
Craig, appreciate your time as always, my friend. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, and we will be talking soon.
Hey, listen, just tell Pickle and the rest of the gang to hold the celebration down a little bit now that you're back in full throat. Yeah. But in the meantime, I'm glad you're back with it. And Merry Christmas to both of you and the staff, and happy holidays, and we'll talk to you down the road.
All right.
Merry Christmas, Craig.
Bye, Craig. There he goes.
See ya.
Craig Way, the Texas High School Hall of Famer, joins us every Tuesday here on Texas Football Today.
Thanks so much for watching that video. If you would like more and to be notified when they come out, go ahead and click that subscribe button right down there. You can also watch Texas Football Today every day live at noon on TexasFootball.com, Facebook, Twitch, and right here on YouTube. For more of the best coverage of Texas football in the Lone Star State, go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe.